one of the things I say is once these guys been there, done that, they can say whatever the fuck they want to say. Me, I'm a fan. I never really fought in a boxing gym, so I can't really say what they're saying. But it's still fun to listen to Nate Campbell talk because every now and then he drops gems that I really appreciate. So shout out to them. So I was listening to LionKiller podcast. Those guys are brutal, man. They brutal. I forgot what it is to be in a barbershop. They brutal up in there. But all jokes aside, I think when people are talking about you a lot, you know you are at the top of the game, and that's what Canelo is, and he's going to be subject of a lot of conversation. Now I understand ethnicity and color sometimes happens in things, but these guys was breaking it as straight as they could. Um, One of the things I noticed, and it's true, the people are going to say you duck certain fighters if you don't face them. It's just what it is. And no matter how much good competition you face, they're going to trivialize that competition until you face the people. And apparently, the host of LionKiller podcast, he has a thing against Boo Boo. But Demetrius Andrade is a fucking good fighter, and I want to see Canelo face him. And until Canelo faces him, unfortunately for him, it was just like with Erislandy Lara, it was just like with Danny Jacobs. These motherfuckers are not gonna stop. And then they dissed Danny Jacobs, who's a fucking good boxer. They dissed Erislandy Lara, and they're gonna continue to diss. All right, it is what it is. But Canelo need to face Demetrius Andrade. It's about that time. Demetrius Andrade's been with him in the same division with him. This is going to be the third division Demetrius Andrade is going to come up to. As I said before, Canelo should not face Billy Joe Saunders next. That's some fucked up shit. Let Demetrius Andrade face Billy Joe Saunders, and whoever wins out of that, Canelo should face that person. Okay? That's how I believe about that. Now, while I was on LionKiller podcast, they was really fucking up Callum Smith. They was dissing him like crazy. I felt bad for Callum Smith. I'm gonna say this on the record. They saying how he's simple, he's straight up and down. I'm gonna say this: Callum Smith's not he's not simple, straight up and down. He does do some really nice things, but unfortunately for him, Callum fights coming forward better than he fights going backward. And Canelo figured that out really fast. And that goes for David Benavidez. It's the same thing with you, Ninja. You better start fighting going backwards. So David Benavidez, I think, is the most hyped out of all the 168 pounders. I think he is the weakest of the 168 pounders in that division. David Benavidez, in my opinion, I can only speak for me, on behalf of me, he's a worse fighter than Callum Smith. He throws combinations and shit. And you know what's the weirdest thing? I was listening to LionKiller's podcast, and it was really going in on Smith how he wasn't fighting Canelo. And he just couldn't get it. These guys just don't get it. What is Callum Smith? He's an outboxer. He fights on the outside, and the extension of his punches, all his hooks and everything come from range. He don't fight in close. So once Canelo knew this, so he just cramped him for space. And he smothered his offense because he's a guy that fights from the outside. Same thing with fucking Sergey Kovalov. They can't do shit to you and then Canelo keeps his guard really well and he has very good defense and all of that. So that's why, and when you're swinging and missing at the guy, all your offense, you're missing at the guy, and you keep on walking your ass down, obviously you're going to get beat down, right? And you don't do better going backwards. You're not that. You're kind of like a bully fighter. You fight going forwards. It's common sense. But anyway, I don't want to go into all of that and be really specific. I knew these guys were clowning. I know Nate Campbell knows better. All these fighters know better. I heard Nate Campbell say how Floyd's just like Canelo, and how Floyd, I think he was trying to imply that Floyd ducked him. I don't know how that's possible because Nate Campbell at no point in time was in a position to face Floyd. Pacquiao, yes, not Floyd. Floyd's a totally different era. Floyd was at welterweight when Nate Campbell was still at lightweight, super featherweight, whatever. Nate Campbell was never on Floyd's radar. He was never in a division even close to Floyd. So I don't know what Nate Campbell talking about. Same thing, my boy. By the way, shout out to Nate Campbell. He's a good dude. I know Nate Campbell's gonna find my video somehow, some way. Shout out also to K9 Bundridge, who said also that Floyd was afraid to fight him because he had too much power, which just makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Seeing that Floyd fought Canelo had fucking power. for Pacquiao, for Oscar. So I don't know what K9 is saying, but again, unbelievable fighters. Okay, K9, 5'6", 72-inch reach. Motherfucker was an unbelievable fighter. Nate Campbell, unbelievable fighter. So whatever they want to say, they're free to say. I've never done boxing like that, and even though I know the story better, at least from what I hear, I see, and just use my common sense, I know these guys just be talking, but they free to do so. See, just like how Floyd's free to fight Logan Paul and do all kinds of crazy ass shit, and Oscar's free to say any kind of shit that comes off his head. I'm gonna fight Triple G next. These guys been there, done that, so it doesn't matter what they say anymore, right? It doesn't matter. The proof's in the pudding. Nate Campbell, fucking hell of a fighter. Friggin' K9, fucking hell of a fighter, right? So it doesn't really matter. They're legends anyway, right? I take it, I laugh, it's entertaining. But at the end of the day, Canelo's one of those guys. He's a real deal. I don't care what nobody says. Canelo's the real deal. They say how they brought up Canelo a special way. No, motherfuckers, don't even go there. Don't even go there. Okay? This boy been brought up the right way, and now he's facing who he's facing. And he did not face the weakest link. If he wanted to face the weakest link, you know who he had to face? David Benavidez. That's the motherfucker he should have faced. No, he faced Callum Smith, who was the number one 168-pounder. Okay? Now Nate Campbell be saying, and my Badu for LionKiller podcast be saying, oh, that division's just weak. Come on, man. Like if 160 was strong. 160 only got two people in it that make it strong. Jamal Charlo and Demetrius Andrews. And guess what? Demetrius Andrews going up to 168. So stop it, guys. Stop it. We just had to fact check the shit, okay? But y'all can shit talk how much you want. I know where it is. I know what it is with Canelo. When you're at the top of the mountain, people gonna do that to you. But Canelo got skills. My thing is, all shit aside and shit talk aside, I want to see Canelo versus Demetrius Andrade or Billy Joe Saunders. And I pray God, if I got to pray to God for this, I'm going to pray to him, that Billy Joe Saunders faces Demetrius Andrade next. Jamal Charlo, if he decides to jump up to 168, because he's not going to get Triple G. Ain't nobody going to get Triple G, all right? Triple G, he knows what he is, and he ain't going to try and face nobody, all right? You know what's the weirdest thing to me? The weirdest thing to me is that, Triple G his career has been one in which he's docked more fighters, in my opinion, than Canelo has. Canelo has faced much better opposition than Triple G, right? And look how they brought Triple G along. They say, okay, well, Canelo got opportunities that other fighters didn't get. And how's that his fault? All right, Lomachenko got opportunities as well. But look at this. People don't really rate Canelo as the best, even though he's proven time and time again he is the best. All right? I'll make my point crystal clear so you guys will understand. Demetrius Andrade, right? I'm not disrespecting Demetrius Andrade, but would Demetrius Andrade right now jump up to 175 and face Sergey Kovalev tomorrow? Would he do it? Okay, y'all talking and defending Jamal Charlo. I know how the politics go. Would Jamal Charlo jump up to 175 right now and face his next fight be Sergey Kovalev? If Sergey Kovalev I'm talking about right now. I don't give a fuck. Sergey Kovalev is up at 175. Would Jamal Charlo jump up to 175 and face Sergey Kovalev tomorrow? No. All right then. So don't do that. Talking about Canelo got opportunities and blah 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 blah, and you can still fix the rehydration clause. You can do all that shit. Kovalev would still beat his ass, and we all know this because styles make fights. And Jamal Charlo has the similar style to Sergey Kovalev, and Kovalev is just too big for him. Canelo was able to do what he did to Kovalev because Kovalev don't throw short punches. Most of his stuff come from range. He keep distance and he throw long. He got heavy hands. But if you cramp Kovalev for space in a smart way, breaking him down like Canelo did, that's how he was able to stop his ass. Now I heard and Nate Campbell, you know so much better. You know boxing, Nate Campbell, so don't try that. You bullshitting us. Canelo knocked out Sergey Kovalev, but he didn't knock out what the kid name? Callum Smith. Okay, so Callum Smith got stamina problems. When have you ever seen Callum Smith have stamina problems? And he's young, all right? Kovalev always had stamina problems, and we knew Kovalev was at the end of his game when he made the surge in round 10 against Canelo, and Canelo easily offset that surge. And don't do like Canelo don't got defense and don't pick off shots. Come on now, right? Okay, so we got a younger guy in Callum Smith, fresher, better defensively than Kovalev. Kovalev's main defense is his jab, right? And Callum Smith literally was reading what Canelo was doing. That's why Canelo couldn't do certain things to him. He had very good defense, but he had to be on the defensive a little bit more because he can push Canelo back. He knew early on in the fight he had to push Canelo back, get his respect, pushing him back. He never was able to do that, right? And that's why Callum Smith, the fight that Callum Smith did, ended up the way it is. And it's a learning lesson for Callum Smith. And he'll come back bigger and better. He'll come back bigger and better. And he's going to 175. That's good. There's Battle Jack up there. There's B-Vol up there. There's Bitter BF. There's Kavorsdik. There's Gilbert Ramirez up there. So there's some names up there for him to face. Right? But when it comes to like what's his name? When it comes to Canelo right now, 168, that's why Canelo was able to do what he did to Callum Smith. And don't feel it's just going to be easy for Jose Benavidez because he's a bigger guy. Y'all getting it twisted, man. Oh, he needed to pop that jab stronger and harder. What is it going to do? What is it going to do? He just slip it and get to the inside and still hit him to the liver or hit him to the spleen. Hit a takeaway jab and hand real quick. Okay? David Benavidez cannot hang with Canelo. He can't hang with Canelo. Trust me, he can't hang with Canelo. All right? David Benavidez cannot hang with Canelo. You know who can hang with Canelo? And this is going to sound ironic because he don't have no big set of punching power. Billy Joe Saunders could hang with Canelo a little bit. He still get his ass beat. And for sure, Demetrius Andrade can. Jamal Charlo, he's a good fighter, but he's the same thing like all them other guys. Except he can fight a little bit going backwards. He still get pushed to the ropes, though. And that's never a good thing. Right? Canelo combines Triple G with James Toney, Floyd Mayweather, with Julio Cesar Chavez. He combines a lot of things, and he's systematic in how he's doing. I broke it down last time. Combination of feint movements, and a lot of tricks. He's tricky. So it's not like you just going in there and say you're going to beat Canelo. That's why I said Demetrius Andrade needs to face Billy Joe Saunders. Them two need to purify each other and get the best out of there because they need to have a stiff test to be able to deal with a guy like Canelo. In fact, this is what I would have had for my fights to purify. I would have had Demetrius Andrade face Billy Joe Saunders. Then I need him to face a big, strong guy. Whether it's Callum Smith, whether it's Jose Benavidez, a big, strong guy that can punch real hard. I would have Demetrius Andrade go through those two tests. Or Billy Joe Saunders, whoever comes out the winner. And the winner of that would face Canelo. I think that's when it would win. Or you have Andrade face Charlo, then Andros face Billy Joe Saunders or something like that. But in the end of the day, you face somebody who can punch really hard and strong, and then you need to face somebody who got the boxing skill. You need the combination of both. You need the person who's facing Canelo needs a stiff test. Because Canelo got too much experience on them motherfuckers. Too much experience in the motherfuckers. You know? And I love Nate Campbell. That's why I listen to him. And I listen to him well. I love Nate Campbell. But fuck it. Seriously speaking. There ain't nobody to mess with Canelo right now. Okay? And I'm sure Troy Killer Tamer will agree with me. Troy King will agree with me. Ain't nobody out there to mess with Canelo. You have to really go through a certain portal and take a crash course in certain things, because as much as people say, "Oh, I don't see no special effects with this dude," I don't see. Okay, but I'm just saying, I'm just a fucking fan, okay? I'm just saying that when you look at what Canelo is accomplishing and what he's doing, that is not normal. Because if you see, I'm sure when you see Callum Smith the next time, he's going to look really great again, right? And Canelo is like Floyd right now. He makes guys look substandard to what they are. Another thing that my boy Campbell, Iron Campbell, will disagree on this. You know, I do not believe that Floyd picked guys and chose guys to fight. I don't agree with that. Yeah, okay, he calls the shots because he was the kingpin, but he always faced the best. So I don't know what Nate Campbell's talking about, all right? And you know, Nate Campbell know he got his ass whooped by, you know, I ain't gonna say who, right? And he gonna make excuses for it, but he got his ass whooped by a certain person, right? And he knows that. Right? It is what it is, right? But my point is, at the end of the day, Canelo, Floyd, that's just the way how that go. These guys had a good team around them. They prepared the right way. They pushed themselves to the limit. And there's a reason why they do what they do, and they're doing so well. You know what's interesting to me? You know, but I think there are a lot of salty people out there. I was listening to, forgot what the guy's name is now. Again, the channel. Two black channels. Blue Blood Sports TV said that Callum Smith going to beat Canelo by split decision. That didn't happen. Okay. And something in the land. Forgot what the name of the guy is. He's a really cool dude from, you know, like, you know, Middle America, Central America, Central USA. But he was saying, you know, look out for an upset. It wasn't going to happen, right? I told y'all exactly how the fight was going to go. I told y'all it was going to be a unanimous decision to win. I told you Canelo was not going to knock out Callum Smith. And it went almost exactly like I said, except I thought that Callum Smith would have exploded a little bit in the beginning. But Canelo smothered him from the get-go, from the opening bell, right? Callum Smith couldn't land that left hook that he wanted to land. But why was that? Because, once again, Canelo just got so much skill for Callum Smith. When Callum Smith tried to catch him with certain punches, he realized he couldn't catch him with certain punches, right? Mike DeZone says, who can beat Canelo at this point? He will for sure collect all the straps. This is the thing I need to see. I need to see, I'm serious, man. Canelo just going to mow through everybody unless there are two guys who possibly could beat Canelo. One's at 154. That's Jamel Charlo. His older brother, Jamal Charlo, he can give Canelo a go for about 2-3 rounds, 4 rounds maybe. But I think he would lose the fight because he has a similar style to Callum Smith that you just saw. Callum Smith, him, and David Benavidez, they all got the same kind of style. They are long-range fighters. They got a little uppercut and stuff on the inside. Jamal Charlo is very strong at 160. When he goes to 168, he might be a little stronger too. So strength for strength, he might be able to match Canelo that way. But he has learned a lot from the Matt Caraboff fight and so on. So he's got his training gear. Callum Smith, because of the John Ryder fight, was able to survive this fight to the end. Even though he popped his bicep. The guy who I think gives Canelo the most problems in that division is between Billy Joe Saunders and Demetrius Andrade. Them two got to face each other first. If they have to have any chance, they are the most experienced of the fighters that will be at 168, besides Jamal Charlo. Jamal Charlo also has equal experience as them. Those are the guys at 168 who have the best chance of beating Canelo. But they haven't gone through that fire to deal with Canelo yet. They have the potential. Callum Smith had the potential to beat Canelo as well. But I always say he should have gone back and rematched John Ryder and set the record straight. He should have faced John Ryder first before going to Canelo. I saw elements of where he could have done some stuff. Right? I saw glimpses of it, but Canelo was snuffing that shit out and just walking him down. So The guys who I think can beat Canelo in that division, Demetrius Andrade and Billy Joe Saunders. But Billy Joe Saunders, he does not stay committed to boxing. What I mean by that is his bad eating habits. He has weight problems. And so as a result of that, the only consistent guy there that can really do it is Demetrius Andrade. That's why Canelo versus Boo Boo is the fight that we need to see. All right. I said this a long time ago since he faced Danny Jacobs. I said Boo Boo is better than Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs is more experienced than Boo Boo, but Boo Boo is sharper, crisper than Danny Jacobs. The guy that would give Canelo the most problems is Demetrius Andrade. And the zone has him. And I think Demetrius Andrade would actually beat Jamal Charlo. Callum Smith didn't use his height as his advantage. He stayed in the pocket too long and let Canelo get okay. So here it is. If he'd used his height, Canelo would have knocked him out. I'm gonna tell you why. If you stand straight up, okay, when you stand straight up, remember Canelo was closing the distance on him, so it didn't really matter how tall he stayed. You stay straight up, that overhand left hook would catch you even worse. What Callum Smith did, I was brilliant. He leaned back in the ropes. A lot of the shots that people thought caught Callum Smith clean didn't catch him clean. A lot of those shots, he was able to ride. He was able to block. The problem is, as you can see, he hurt his bicep. I don't know if it's from a punch from Canelo or what. Or he hurt it, popped it while he was throwing. And that's why his jab wasn't as crisp as it should have been. But Callum Smith was defensively on point, right? Even though he got his face busted up and his nose busted up, for the most part, his defense was pretty good. Canelo wasn't landing a lot of body shots. He wasn't getting a lot of body shots through. So Callum Smith defensively, the reason why he survived that fight and he didn't get knocked out is because his defense was pretty good. But that wasn't the problem. It was getting that offense off and having an effective offense, which he didn't have. Usually he popped the jab a lot more than he did. I don't know if it's because he popped his bicep somewhere in round 2 or round 4 that he couldn't pop the jab as he really wanted to. But that's not Canelo's fault, right? That shit happened in the fight because Canelo was putting pressure on him, because Canelo kept on walking him down. Mike Dazon says, yeah, but jab away. He tried to do a thing or two with the jab, but again, he's getting cramped for space. Callum Smith is used to extending his punches fully out. And by Canelo closing that distance so much, and not just closing the distance, but if you look at Canelo he was leaning forward, meaning he was in virtual distance all the time walking down Callum Smith. So that if the shot was too much for Canelo, he just snapped back and get out of the way of the shot. A lot of things, man, shit. The way how Canelo's clinically walking down fighters now, Floyd walked down guys like that. Floyd walked down in sparring this kid who's a 168 pounder himself, mama's boy. He walked him down, same way, feints. Then quickness, explosive quickness. Jump on you. So you always got to take that step back to make sure he don't catch you. So he systematically keeps on walking you down. And when you throw your punches or you throw your offense and you're not hitting anything but air and he's still right in front of your face walking you down, obviously you're going to take the steps back. You're going to try and pivot around. Like they were saying that Callum Smith should have pivot around, kept on pivoting in the circle like Danny Jacobs was doing to Canelo in their fight. But even then, Canelo was pushing Danny Jacobs to the ropes because he can't do that forever. The guy's going to figure you out and cut you off. He's going to cut you off. And you see Canelo was cutting off the ring really, really well against Callum Smith. And he wasn't even stepping plenty. He was casually doing it. And Canelo's a guy, his movements are so subtle, he can lull you to sleep as well at the same time. He's not putting the energy, tremendous energy. He's just explosive for a moment, and then he's just very calm, cool, collect, and walking you down. So there's a lot of subtle shit that people don't talk about that Canelo's doing in that ring. And guys like Nate Campbell, they know what I'm talking about. They just shit talk. He's just shit talking Canelo, but it's okay. It's all right. We know what's really going on. If you had to really face Canelo in that ring, motherfuckers know they wasn't going to do no better. And how we know this? Julio Cesar Chavez didn't do better. He was the first guy that Canelo started walking down. Second fight with Triple G. Triple G, big, powerful Triple G. The guy that hits with really, really hard punches. Canelo was walking his ass down. I should have told y'all everything you need to know. Danny Jacobs, Canelo didn't walk down Danny Jacobs as much because Danny Jacobs could switch from orthodox to southpaw. He could roll punches left or right. Dude got real serious defense. Danny Jacobs is the best opponent Canelo has faced so far and has done the best against Canelo. Okay? Mike Dyson says it didn't look like Canelo got hurt in the fight. The man might be on something still. His reputation kind of tainted. Okay, I don't think he's on anything. He rides punches with his head. This is called riding a punch. If you throw a punch at me this way and I do like this and I ride it, so he's not really taking punches. He's catching punches in here. His guard is so beautiful that even when you throw an uppercut in there, it gets stuck in between the guard and the chin. So even if he hits the chin, he took some steam off of it already. Because not only does he keep his chin tucked, but his hands are in the way to catch the punch. They're catching the punch as it's coming up. It's defense. This guy, Canelo, listen. If, what's his name? If Callum Smith had hit Canelo with a full-blooded punch at the end of full extension, he hurt Canelo. But he couldn't hurt Canelo because, one, Canelo was smothering him by closing the distance within his range, with his comfortable range, walking him down. And the second reason was Canelo was picking off the shots. He was picking off almost everything. Now, to Callum Smith credit, Callum Smith has pretty good defense himself, right? And he was blocking and protecting his body quite well, but he had to go back to the ropes. Why? He didn't have the distance. He was cramped for space to throw those punches, to extend his full power. Same thing with Sergey Kovalev. And Canelo, it seemed as though Sergey Kovalev realized Canelo was rushing him. It was almost like Canelo was rushing him, but in slow motion and putting that pressure on Sergey Kovalev. And Kovalev was popping that jab like crazy, but he couldn't get full extension. Kovalev's power is off the end of his extension. He's an outboxer. They don't have infighting skills like that. Canelo's fighting all these big guys is scary, from GGG Kovalev to Smith. It's crazy, bro. Yeah, because he's systematic. Like I told y'all don't understand. He's systematic in what he's doing. He's got defense. He's systematic in what he's doing. Think about it. Nobody pushes Triple G back like that. Nobody. Canelo pushed Triple G back. How'd he do it? Defense. He kept his defense tight and walking to him. Right? He pushed back Kovalev. He pushed back Danny. Well, he sort of pushed back Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs has a lot of additional skills. People don't give Danny Jacobs the credit he deserves. I think the best guy that faced Canelo so far is Danny Jacobs. Would I love to see him against Jamal Charlo? Fuck yeah. Would I like to see him against Demetrius Andrade? Absolutely. If you ask me, out of all the fighters, all the names, I think Demetrius Andrade gives Canelo the most problems. But I'm going to tell you this, because Canelo has so much experience and he can switch from one style to the next, Demetrius Andrade is not beating Canelo at this time. He doesn't have enough experience to beat Canelo at this time. But that's the guy. And the way to do it is Demetrius Andrade needs to face Billy Joe Saunders, because Billy Joe Saunders is going to lose to Canelo. Why? Because Billy Joe Saunders doesn't stay committed. He's not committed to boxing. And his cardio and his condition is going to let him down. He had an easy fight with Martin Murray, but once the pressure comes to you and Canelo starts coming at you, and bringing that pressure, he's going to break down Billy Joe Saunders. So I think that Billy Joe Saunders, and we saw it against Chris Eubank. So I would love to see Canelo. I would like to see Billy Joe Saunders face Demetrius Andrade. The winner coming out of that situation would be a better fighter. At least have that, and then they could go ahead and face Canelo. And they are the two best guys that could possibly do something. Mike Dazan says, "Love, the Triple G fight was brought up. Canelo is done with him." Yeah, because, Triple G, think about this. Triple G's 39 years old. What do you want Canelo to do? Kill Triple G? Because he will kill him. Because Triple G, his defense has not improved significantly. Okay? Same old Triple G. And Triple G just going after the money right now. He's trying to toughen himself up as much as possible. Canelo will kill Triple G. Triple G is slow as fuck, okay? Canelo will kill him. And what's the point of Triple G? And Triple G's fighting at 160. Canelo's not going to go down to 160 to face Triple G. He'll bring him up to 168. Then he'll murder him. Then I'll be that. He might literally murder him in the ring. You see, that's the thing. Triple G be talking crazy about Oscar De La Hoya. Oh, I might kill Oscar in the ring. Triple G, if your ass get in the ring with Canelo, who's in his prime, he'll kill you. He'll kill you. You will not come out of that ring alive. So it's better Canelo don't face him. In fact, Demetrius Andrade not even interested in Triple G no more. He's looking interested in a prime fighter to put on his resume. and that's Billy Joe Saunders. And that's a fight that could be made tomorrow. So I think Billy Joe Saunders right now should put the brakes on the Canelo fight. Billy Joe Saunders, if he's smart, he'll hold the brakes on the Canelo fight, face Demetrius Andrew, because he thinks he knows what to do to beat Canelo. Motherfucker, you don't know what to do to beat Canelo. You can't beat Canelo. You can't beat him. All right? You cannot beat him. Because Callum Smith thought he could beat Canelo, and he certainly could. Okay? Why is Terence Crawford pound for pound number one? Should be Canelo. Well, my reasoning is some people look at the eye test. Okay? So from the eye test, they say, well, Crawford, man, he got these a bit crazy ass abilities, switch hitting and just the way how he disabled Kell Brook, caught him off guard with a check hook. He's not facing the competition that Canelo faced. This is true, right? But you could argue some points for Terence Crawford. It's been undisputed and so on. But just the eye test, I think, is what they go by with Terence Crawford. Because if you look at resume, there's no way. Like resume-wise, Canelo, Pacquiao, then Crawford probably. Or even Canelo, Pacquiao, Errol Spence, then Crawford, then probably Naoya Inoue. You know what I mean? So it depends on what you're looking at. But resume-wise, I mean, Canelo's resume is ridiculous, right? Right now, we're talking about a guy who is two-time lineal champion, okay? He's champion in 4 weight classes, unified champion in 3. Unified champion in 3 weight classes. That's some fucking crazy shit right there. You know what I mean? And I just want to see Canelo continue to make history and keep on doing great things. But the one thing that's hanging over his head, okay, the one thing that's hanging over Canelo's head right now is the fact that he's not facing Demetrius Andre. And he had the opportunity to face him in 2019, which was last year. When he could have unified the whole entire division. He didn't do it. And then he had the opportunity to face Jamal Charlo last year as well. Or no, early this year, I think it is. And or it was last year. I think it was last year. And the fucking WBC gave him franchise championship belt. And that franchise championship belt is haunting Canelo. That's the bullshit that's fucking up everything. The franchise championship belt is going to haunt Teofimo Lopez. And the only way for Teofimo Lopez to get past that is to face Devin Haney. Lopez versus Haney, Canelo versus Andre, Spence versus Crawford. These motherfuckers need to just silence the critics. They're going to have something else. But if you face Crawford and beat his ass, nobody can say anything. Crawford been asking for you. If Canelo faced Demetrius Andre and beat his ass, now people can't put no asterisk on you. You get beat by him, so what? You faced him. Errol Spence, if you get beat by Crawford, so what? You faced him. Teofimo Lopez, go beat Devin Haney's ass. And get the asterisk out of your name and the undisputed title. If you get beat by him, at least you faced him. If there's no strikes on you, if you lose, you can't lose. It's a win-win, especially if you're an exciting fighter. If you want to follow in the footsteps of Floyd Mayweather, Pretty Boy Floyd was asking for the smoke. He was praying for the smoke. He wanted the smoke. Even when he was the big cat in the division. Look at super featherweight. When he was the big cat in super featherweight, he still wanted to smoke. He went and faced Diego Corrales. He was looking out to face Casamayor and Acelino Freitas. All right, he wanted to smoke. When he went up to 135, the first guy he faced was Jose Luis Castillo. He still wanted to smoke. He was calling out Lascano. He was calling out Stevie Johnson. He was calling out Paul Spadafora. These are the guys he wanted at 135. When he got to 140, he was calling out Castizoo. He want the smoke. Devin Haney's in the same spirit. He want that fucking smoke. Just because I'm number one in the division doesn't mean I don't want the smoke. Give me the fucking smoke. Give me smoke. Right? When Mayweather became pound for pound and cash cow like Canelo is today, still disputable whether he's pound for pound or cat, but we all know he's the cash cow, right? When Floyd was in Canelo's position, Floyd was like, okay, now y'all gonna have to wait on me to choose who I want. But every time he chose who he wanted, It was the best qualified person. Ricky Hatton was the number one lineal contender. He was ahead of motherfucker, even though he's at 140, he fought at 147. Okay, he had Canelo had his belt. He was the number one lineal contender. When Floyd went back, and then Floyd went into retirement, and this is where everybody said, "Oh, Floyd ducked everybody. He ducked Coro. He ducked Williams was calling his ass out. Shane Mosley just came down from 154. Okay, but when Floyd wanted to smoke with Shane Mosley back in '99, Mosley could have gotten that fight in 2006. Mosley didn't want no fucking smoke. Cause what? Because Floyd wasn't no money man. He wasn't on Mosley's radar, but back in 2009, Mosley was calling out Floyd's ass when Floyd came out of retirement because Floyd was the money man. He was the cash cow. That's how boxing go. Shout out to Mike Dazon. Did you hear what Terrence said about the Spence fight? It's not happening. Bud is resigning with Bob Arum. Don't believe the bullshit. They fighting next year. Guaranteed. They fighting next year. Don't study what Bud said. Bud will say all kinds of crazy things. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. They're just playing with you. Errol Spence will say some crazy shit too. Don't believe it. That fight is happening next year. Okay? Guaranteed. So no matter what Bud says, don't believe it. Okay. They're gonna fight next year. They just trying to get the fans riled up for the fight. Y'all should be excited because it's going to happen. It's going down next year. My thing is, as I was saying before, Canelo. My thing is not Canelo. Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez, stop being an asshole, bro. You got guys coming at you right now. You got Devin Haney wanting you, right? I heard Tank say something. I don't believe what Tank. I don't believe Tank gonna get that fight. Devin Haney. I see Teofimo Lopez showed up to that fight with Canelo, right? And started talking to Eddie Hearn about the fight. The only problem with that fight, why that fight can't just happen because fucking Bob Arum. They gotta do better. They can't go behind, Bob Arum's back and do something, but Teofimo Lopez and they come in, to see just Lopez showing up there shows that he want that fight. You think Teofimo Lopez don't want that fight? He won that fucking fight, boy. Of course he wants that fight. And I want to see it too. I want to see that fight. I want to see Devin Haney versus, Devin Haney be talking up a storm. Okay, let's see you then, brother. But in the meantime, if Devin Haney could get Ryan Garcia, they should fight each other, and let's see who wins. And everybody, they was clowning Ryan Garcia too. LionKiller, man. LionKiller podcast. They be clowning Ryan Garcia. Oh, he chin up in the air because he's a tall fighter. But see, to get to Ryan Garcia's chin, you gotta get past his hands. You gotta get past his footwork. And I've seen Ryan Garcia in the amateurs, and he don't fight with his chin up in the air. But apparently in the pros, he's been fighting with his chin up in the air. I don't know why. But not all the time, When he's at a respectable distance, his chin is not up in the air, but still something that he got to watch out for. But I think he's aware of it. I think he's very much aware of it. I think everyone else is very much aware of it. So, but Ryan Garcia is the truth. He's the real deal. They be clowning Ryan Garcia. All you got to do is go watch Ryan Garcia in the amateurs and you see how good a fighter he is. He's fucking phenomenal. He beat Virgil Ortiz's ass. Everybody talking about Virgil Ortiz is the truth. He beat Virgil Ortiz's ass so bad. He outschooled his ass, in the amateurs. He schooled him. Schooled him bad. And I saw Gary Russell Jr.'s brother, Antoine Russell. I saw him beat the crap out of Jerome Ennis' ass. He beat his ass. So, and just to let you guys know, these guys ain't no fucking punks. They not no chumps. They really are good boxers. I would love to see Ryan Garcia versus What's his name? Devin Haney. That's what I really want to see. But I do want to see Devin Haney versus Teofimo Lopez as well. You know, I would love to see that fight. All very good fights. And I don't think it should take 5 to 10 years. But I know Teofimo Lopez be throwing that shade and talking a lot of shit. Now, what I love about boxing right now is the Latinos versus the blacks. That's what's kind of going on. It's friendly banter. They be shit talking each other. So Raleigh is getting flack from Tank and from Shakur and from Richardson Hitchens. They be just throwing shade at Raleigh, and that's Teal's boy. So Teal now is coming back at them as well as Raleigh's coming back at them. That's just some good shit. Some good shit. Ryan Garcia, of course, he's also Latino. So I like that. I like that. It's just fun, folks. Don't take it too seriously. It's just fun. They just shit talking each other. They're all the same fraternity. They know each other. They call each other and all of that shit in the background. Okay. I'm just saying everybody need to get that paper. I could see Teal want to help out Devin Haney by giving him some paper. You want to whoop his ass too. You want to give him that paper. You know what I'm saying? And you know, Teal was saying he was real shit talking Devin. He know Devin could box his ass off. But he was saying Devin couldn't get rid of you because Gambo. How you gonna handle me? You know, it's just shit talk. And it's fighting. It's fighting language. We're in the fight game. You gotta expect that. And some people are very ruthless. But I like it. I like the shit talk. I like to see the stars show up. That is the great boxers. You know, you saw Errol Spence show up for that fight with Canelo. And these are fans of Canelo. Errol Spence is a fan of Canelo. Teofimo Lopez is a fan of Canelo. You know what I mean? Anthony Corolla obviously is a fan of Canelo. Callum Smith's probably become a fan of Canelo, even though right now he's smarting from his losses. And people are tearing into Callum Smith. You know, again, a very good fighter. You know, will probably become a Hall of Famer if he keeps it up and just keeps pressing. He is one of the best of the Smiths. They dissing the Smith brothers. Smith brothers know their shit. It's just that, unfortunate for them, you know, with Callum Smith, came up short. Okay, he came up short against Canelo, and he just has to go and work on certain things in his game. I'm not mad at Callum Smith. Callum Smith's a great fighter. He will be a great fighter at least. And I don't care what none of these guys say. They say he's straight up and down with no special effects. He got some special effects. He got a couple things. You know, he's a sharp boxer and everything. You know, you see the little nuances when he pivots out the way off the ropes. You know, how he slips punches to the left or slips punches to the right. I love how he does that. You know, but he got little special effects defensively speaking. Offensively, he don't really got. He's crisp. He's sharp with his punches. You know, he's got. You know, he feints before he throws the hook. Sometimes he feint like he's going to throw the right and throw the hook. You know, he got a couple little special effects he got, but he's not really a special effects guy, but he's very sharp with what he does. Similarly, I do not think of David Benavidez as having a lot of special effects. I see him as a one-trick pony. He throws a lot of shots. He works on his jab, but that motherfucker don't really. What's so great about him? And he's out of shape. That motherfucker's always out of shape. Okay? Always struggling to make weight. Always contaminating body using drugs or some shit. He's the weakest of them. He's the biggest, but he's the weakest of them. And they tout him like he's the greatest thing. Man, I wish Canelo would face him so he could expose his overhyped ass. For real. No disrespect to David Benavidez. Of course, he's the youngest. He got a lot of growing to do. But this motherfucker's overhyped, man. You know what I mean? Just like his brother, Jose Benavidez. He's overhyped. Ronald Gavril beat his ass. Okay? Let's be real. Yeah, he came back and beat Ronald Gavril. But the first time, Ronald Gavril beat his ass. Just like how John Ryder beat Callum Smith's ass. All right? So y'all don't be going in on David Benavidez. Canelo's afraid to face. Fuck out of here with that shit. How you mean he's afraid to face? I hope Canelo faces David Benavidez next. Say, no, I don't want Yildirim as my mandatory. Yildirim, you're going to have to pause. Bring on David Benavidez. I wish Canelo would do that. And tell Billy Joe Saunders, go fight Demetrius Andrade. Sort that shit out. Then come back to me if you win. That's what Canelo should be doing. He should be dictating this shit. Don't let Eddie Hearn just say, "Oh, come on for another fight from one of my fighters. Come on." No. Bring on that motherfucking David Benavidez. Let me tax that ass. That's what Canelo should do. And let Demetrius Andrade face Billy Joe Saunders. And that winner out of the David Benavidez versus Canelo Alvarez and the Billy Joe Saunders versus Demetrius Andrade, the winner should face Canelo. And then Canelo can tack that ass. Beat off that ass and be almost undisputed. And then say, Caleb Plant, I'm coming for you next. Caleb Plant be all quaking and everything. Be like, nah, man, I'm good. I'm going to face my IBF mandatory. You scared Caleb Plant. You know what? You know what could happen? Caleb Plant could face Jamal Charlo. Canelo faces Jose Benavidez. Caleb Plant versus Jamal Charlo. And fucking Demetrius Andrade versus Billy Joe Saunders. So Jamal says, give me that belt, Caleb Plant. Because we know Jamal Charlo will face Canelo, right? I don't know if Caleb Plant will face Canelo, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. He don't got enough experience. David Benavidez will face Canelo. David Benavidez is not afraid to face Canelo and get his ass whooped. But and he probably do like Callum Smith after. He say, man, I'm too big for this division. I'm too big for this division. I need to go up to 175. Oh, Callum Smith was saying my power, man. My power would really mess up Canelo. Didn't do shit, bro. Anyways, man, they need to get the Canelo treatment. When these motherfuckers get the Canelo treatment, now watch their fans and everybody. They're going to say, Canelo's juicing. That's the next thing they're going to say. No, that brother's juicing. He's juicing, man. You know, and you know Eddie Hearn would like to see the Triple G fight. Y'all is sick, Y'all are sick people. You're sick people. How can you be so happy to see a Triple G fight? Y'all know y'all gonna send Triple G to the slaughter? Do you know Canelo has killed a person? Boxing already? He'll kill Triple G. He'll kill him. I'm telling you, man, that man will die in the ring. The beating he's gonna take. Because he's gonna get beat up by Canelo. He's gonna get beat up really bad and stopped. I don't need to see that. He old. He's 39. He's gonna be 40 next year. Why do I need to see Canelo beat him up and stop him? I don't need to see that. And he don't have defense like Callum Smith. He don't have defense like Callum Smith. So you know he's gonna get stopped. His defense is his face and his body. I'm gonna stop him with my liver. I'm stop that punch with my liver. Hit me on my chin again. Oh man, he gonna take a beating of a lifetime, man. Richard Phoenix says, Juice Nello. The fans. Y'all fans are funny, man. Mike Dyson says, Canelo versus Errol Spence. Will Spence take the fight? First of all, Errol Spence got business with Terrence Crawford. How you going to be jumping up to another division? You say you're going to be undisputed at welterweight. You just suddenly changed your mind and you're going to jump up to middleweight and face Canelo? Not even middleweight. Canelo's at 168. Canelo said he's not really interested in going back down to 160. He's looking to unify 168, which makes sense to me. Okay. And Errol Spence, he need to unify 147, right? It's interesting that Errol Spence would say he is interested in facing Canelo. That definitely could happen in the future, down the road. Errol being this big dude, he's really a big guy for 147. So that could happen down the road, absolutely, and that would be a great fight because Errol, is constantly gathering, top tier wins over champions. So that's building up to be a good fight. Jamel Charlo versus Canelo would be a totally different fight to his brother, Jamal Charlo. I actually think that Jamel Charlo is a much better boxer, and I think more like Floyd Mayweather, actually. And I think he would definitely, even though he has some flaws, I think he'd definitely be a problem for Canelo, okay? Because he can really box. That boy can really box, okay? It's totally different. So his older brother's more feeds off the jab, has a wicked jab, does most things off the jab, but he's also very sharp and very quick with his feet. And then again, the special effects that I always like to talk about is how he counters off the ropes, and then how he he's also physically strong, and how he pivots out the way of certain punches and and maintains range and maintains distance. Again, somewhat straight up and down, different to his brother, who's not as straight up and down. But I would say that his younger brother is much more committed. Like you see, his younger brother is just crazy. He like loses his mind and stuff. His younger brother is very intense as an individual. So, but Errol Spence versus Canelo would be a good fight in the future. I wouldn't say now. That's stupid. Like Errol Spence is right now, he should be focused on Terrence Crawford and should be focused on Manny Pacquiao, clean out his division. Manny Pacquiao is 42 years old. He's going to be 42 years old. Actually, he's 42 years old already. So he's 42 years old now. I'm telling Pacquiao, fuck this. Pack your bags up. End this game and get out of the game. If you want to have one or two things, surrender the belt. Don't fight for the belt and get it lost by getting beat up by Errol Spence or get beat up by Terrence Crawford. It just makes no sense. Mikey Garcia is a less dangerous fight because he doesn't throw as many punches as either guy, and he still cracks like a motherfucker. So that's going to be a problem. But if you fight your last fight, let's say you fight Mikey Garcia, fight another fight in the Philippines, and that's your farewell fight, and call it a day for 2021, man. Call it a day. I mean, and do like Floyd, go on to exhibition fights, fight Conor McGregor, fight whoever you want to fight. But quite frankly, Manny Pacquiao needs to hang this shit up, I think. But that's just my opinion. I'm not Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao can do whatever he wants. But I hope people who are around him will advise him sensibly and accordingly. Because honestly, he's got a promotional company. He has a country to run, to become president of, and so many other things he could do. And the last thing he needs is brain damage. And he takes one too many to the head. So he still gets tagged up, especially in the middle rounds when he slows down and stuff. So I really wouldn't want to see Manny Pacquiao get knocked out or hurt so bad, take so much punishment that later on in his 50s and 60s, he can't talk straight and he's slurred and he's forgetting things and all that. And the Muhammad Ali syndrome. We don't need that. So I just want to look out for that fight. He's just such a great fighter that's not deserving. Guy like Triple G, same thing. He don't need to get knocked out or killed or has tremendous brain damage later on in his life because he took too much punishment. Especially in the latter half of his career. If I was Triple G, I'd just leave the Canelo fight alone. But if that's what he wants, you know what I'm saying? Go straight into it, but you better understand there's going to be consequences for that. You know what I mean? Because Canelo's going to kill him. In my personal opinion. Rich Phoenix says Golovkin is 38 and will be 39 by April of 2021. So see, that just right there, you know what I mean? Floyd was retired at 38, you know what I mean? And Golovkin is, when if he's facing like a guy like his last opponent, it's okay because he's not taking a lot of damage. But guys like Demetrius Andre, like Jamal Charlo, like Derevyanchenko, even them guys would fuck him up bad. I'm not playing. He might stay on his feet, but he's gonna get fucked up, and he take too much punishment. It's better if he just got knocked the fuck out. Mike Dyson says, which fight is likely possible against Bud or Spence? I get mixed news and keeps changing. They say it's against Bud, then they say it's against Spence. Which is it? Was that Pacquiao? I don't even know if Pacquiao faced either of them. And then with respect to Bud, I mean, Bud could do all kinds of things. He could go up to 154, face Patrick Teixeira. I heard that Jesse Vargas is going up. He's now back at 154, so he might pay Patrick Teixeira or Jamal Charlo. Now, Jesse Vargas has never been knocked out. He's been knocked down a couple times. I don't know if you want to face Jamal. I don't know if you want to face Jamal Charlo, man. Jamel looks like like he really means it now. He about killing people. Jamel's out there, man. So I don't know if he wants to. I don't know if he wants to face Jamel, but hey, Jesse Vargas is a good fighter. So if you want to do it with Jamel, fine. But you just fought at welterweight. But hey, Jesse can handle the story, so we'll see what happens with Jamel. I think that might be a little too much to handle. But hey, but Patrick Teixeira, that'd be a good fight because Teixeira is like a warrior and he's been through a war. And Patrick Teixeira, to be honest, I want to see Patrick Teixeira versus Jamel Charlo so that Jamel Charlo could become undisputed because Jamel Charlo is unified with 3 of the belts. The only person standing in the way of him getting undisputed is Patrick Teixeira. So I would love for Golden Boy to offer Patrick Teixeira. Listen, man, Golden Boy, all you guys out there, okay? It's not about holding belts. It's about who these guys face. You want guys that said, I faced everybody. That's how Oscar De La Hoya's modus operandi was. He faced everybody, right? Except for Winky Wright, except for Vernon Forrest. I couldn't help myself. I had to say that. It's no fault of his that Winky Wright priced himself out, though. I'm just joking. So, Oscar faced everybody, right? So basically, that's the same thing Golden Boy should have. If Patrick Teixeira wants it, let the boy go down in flames. Because that's all that's going to happen. He going to get destroyed by Jamel Charlo. But at least he can say he faced Jamel Charlo. He got Jamel Charlo on his resume. He got nobody on his resume right now. So that's the thing that people don't get. Oh, he was a world champion. He was undefeated. Okay, fine. But you didn't face... When history looks at it, we always ask, who did you fight? Who did you beat? All right? That's the question. That's what we want to know. Who you fight, who you beat. So Golden Boy holding out on Patrick Teixeira, taking away his opportunity to face Jamel Charlo, who might be a Hall of Famer when all is said and done. You're depriving the kid of being attached to a Hall of Famer, and also by facing that guy, and even if you lose to him, his paycheck next time will be higher than his paycheck the first time because he faced a great fighter. So this is what they miss out. And he would have been involved in a unification fight. You can't go wrong with that. A unification fight for the undisputed. He fought for the undisputed championship of the world. How many people can say that? It's Golden Boy. You got to think. Okay, so your boy's not a world champion at the end of it all. But he could say he was at the highest. He would face that. Because Patrick Teixeira is no world beater like that. You know that. So what you holding on to a belt for? What you holding a belt hostage for? It's not going to give his price any more value. It's who you face, who you beat. You know this. Robert Guerrero could call shots because Robert Guerrero faced Floyd Mayweather. He lost, and he lost horribly. But he faced Floyd Mayweather. That's what gave him the cachet. After all those years of being world champion and all that shit. It's your name being attached to another great name. Come on, Golden Boy. Oscar, you know this. Oscar, you know this. Troy Soares says, watch Boogeyman Andre take Billy Joe's belt and watch No Cajon stuck Canelo not want to fight him for undisputed once again. Shaking my damn head. Well, listen. We got to hold these guys accountable. We put pressure on Canelo the last time to face Erislandy Lara, and he did it. Right? This time when he asked the fans, who you want me to face next? They said, we want you to face Demetrius Andre. He didn't respond. So we got to put pressure on him. All right, because this is going to be the third time he's ducking Demetrius Andre if he don't face him at 168. He ducked him at 154. He ducked him at 160. Is he going to duck him at 168? Fuck that. Three strikes, you're out. So he has to decide what he wants to do. Because as soon as Demetrius Andre got stripped, or I think he got stripped of the 154 belt, this motherfucker fought Liam Walsh. Liam Smith, sorry. You know what I mean? Sorry about the F-bombs, people. Come on, Canelo. Face Demetrius Andre. And he can still beat Demetrius Andre as it stands right now, but I hope that Demetrius Andre gets Billy Joe Saunders. And we all know that because Billy Joe Saunders he's not very consistent. He can fight his ass off, but he's not very consistent in terms of how he takes care of his body. We don't know if he come in lackluster or not. And they say he live up to the occasion, maybe, and maybe he shows brilliance, but we are guaranteed that Demetrius Andre will be on his A game. And that's why I picked Demetrius Andre to beat Billy Joe Saunders. Both of them have similar skill sets, similar abilities. But Billy Joe Saunders is a fat boy. He kind of remind me of Tank. Mike Dizon says, Golden Boy promotion is a joke. Rich Phoenix says, Golden Boy is relying on Ryan Garcia, Jaime Munguia, Virgil Ortiz. Don't forget Oscar Valdez. After they lost the Canelo cash money. Y'all be tripping on Canelo. Stop calling him Canelo. First of all, he was cleared of that. He was cleared of it. Nate Campbell make an important point, though. But I don't know if I agree with that either. Because people just like to hate on Canelo, man. Like they hate on Floyd. Y'all be calling him Canelo and all kinds of shit. But you can't really, you saying he ducking this guy and ducking, but you can't really pin it on him, can you? How can you say he ducked, because y'all will say, oh, he ducked Triple G. But he faced Triple G twice and beat him. Right? So what do you mean by he ducked Triple G? And then he said, oh, he was about to duck Danny Jacobs. Then he faced Danny Jacobs. Well, he ducked Jamel Charlo, who's mandatory. For truth. I ain't gonna say no. He ducked Demetrius Andre to 154, and he faced Liam Smith. Okay. Fine. But then y'all was saying also he was ducking Triple G. Which one is it gonna be? Is he ducking Triple G? Because remember, he was supposedly at 160, but he was fighting at Canelo weight, 155, won the middleweight championship of the world, got stripped of it after he faced Amir Khan. So he said, fuck it, and went down to 155 and faced Liam Smith. Let's not forget the real story here. And at that point in time, Liam Smith got the belt because Demetrius Andre got stripped of the belt or something like that. I don't know if Demetrius Andre moved up or what. I can't remember. I think he got stripped. I'm not too sure why he got stripped. I don't know if it's because he was rematching Valentis Martirosyan or what. But at the end of the day, yes, Canelo ducked Demetrius Andre. That is a known fact. He ducked him. But if he faces him, Demetrius Andre is only getting better. So if he faces Demetrius Andre, let's say after he faces Billy Joe Saunders, for example, if it's allowed that he faces Billy Joe Saunders, then the duck is like he ducked Demetrius Andre, but Demetrius Andre was better when he faced him, right? So whether you want to say he ducked him or not, if he faces Demetrius Andre, that's totally different. But if he don't face Demetrius Andre, then it's fucked up. And Jamal Charlo, both guys contemporaries for 3 weight classes. And from what I heard, Jamel was supposed to face him, right? Jamel was supposed to face him. Golden Boy promised, or something like that. Promised Jamel they would face. Jamel signed because he wanted to face Canelo, right? So Jamel Charlo, if Jamal faces Canelo, it still won't be fair because it's really Jamel Charlo who was supposed to get Canelo, not Jamel, right? And Golden Boy was preventing that from happening. It was protecting Canelo from Jamal and Jamel. Because I always wondered, what the fuck is Jamal and Jamel there? Okay, he faced Erislandy Lara. Why don't you face Jamal and Jamel? And then I think he moved up to 160 or some shit like that, or something like that. I can't remember what it was. But now Lara was the better fighter of the 3 at the time. Okay? Nonetheless, Jamel wanted to face Canelo and never got the opportunity. Okay. Um, so Jamal right now is just about one weight class below Canelo. If Jamal moves up to 168, I don't know what Jamal wants to do. Because I heard that Golden Boy did offer Jamal to face Canelo. And Jamal always shows a lot of respect for Canelo, which is very nice. But Demetrius Andre right now, he you can see he's pretty much frustrated because it's like he just lined up to face Billy Joe Saunders. Now Billy Joe Saunders is going to pull that shit again and be on the Canelo bullshit when he lost his opportunity because he was talking so much shit out there on violence. And I don't know why this motherfucker's getting a second chance just like that. And he's still going to get his ass beat. Canelo going to beat his ass, right? So Billy Joe Saunders, who really annoys me, to be honest. And he's so freaking racist and all that shit. But he really annoys me. But nonetheless, he's a good boxer. I want to see him against Demetrius Andre. And Demetrius kick his ass, and then he gets the WBO belt. Now, Demetrius Andre needs to stop being so stupid and just get rid of the 160 title. Titles don't mean shit right now. You want to get Canelo. So if I was Demetrius Andre, I'll make sure I beat Billy Joe Saunders' ass, give up the 160 belt, and stay at 168 and say, Canelo, what's up? Here I am again. That's what I'm looking forward to with chestnut checkers, right? And Canelo be like, all right. That's what I want. I want Canelo versus Demetrius Andre, man. So bad. Because I think he's a better fighter than Jamal Charlo. I truly do. It's sad because he got so much fucking skill and everybody be ducking his ass. And you know what they say? Oh, Demetrius Andre, he don't face nobody. He just a clown. And I'm like, y'all be backing Terrence Crawford and Terrence Crawford be fucking up. You know what I'm saying? But Demetrius Andre, what is the reason for all these fucking fighters ducking Demetrius Andre? He's on the zone. He's with Matchroom. All these fighters are with Matchroom. And yet these motherfuckers won't even... Nobody wants to lay a finger on him. Derevchenko don't talk about him. Charlo was afraid to talk about him. Fucking, what is it? Did Al Heyman put a hit on him or something? I don't understand. It's like the motherfucker is like taboo. That nobody want to touch him. I never quite understood that. But I know why. Because he's the real thing. He's a smiling assassin. He's the real deal. And we all know it. We all know it. We all know it. But the industry also, they seem as though they blacklisted his ass. Which is sad. And it's not right. And I smelt it from a mile away. And Crawford's in a bind right now. Because Crawford, you see Crawford coming to the fights, Errol Spence fights and shit. Crawford won that fight. Crawford won that fight. And isn't it the best supposed to face the best? So truthfully, Errol Spence should be facing Terrence Crawford. They should be negotiating. They should be shit talking each other right now. Right? Crawford won that fight. That's the fight he's really interested in, right? And Errol won that fight too, but this is the bullshit that we deal with in boxing. You know how I go. But we won't get it. We won't get that fight. We guarantee to get that fight next year. But what happens to Demetrius Andre? And yeah, Gary Russell Jr., he don't really face nobody. But again, he getting blackballed by his own people in his own fucking weight class. Ain't nobody talking about Gary Russell Jr. at featherweight. Right? Look how much featherweights passed through featherweight. We had Carl Frampton. Motherfucking what's his fucking name? Abner Morris passed through there. What's his name? Leo Santa Cruz passed through there, right? All these guys, that's 3 guys. None of them faced Gary Russell Jr. And don't tell me like Gary Russell Jr. would have won those fights. Of course he would have won those fights. And they ducked him. They ducked Gary Russell Jr. They didn't go see Gary Russell Jr. They didn't go see him. You know what I'm saying? Mike Dazin said Golden Boy is a joke. Rich Phoenix says Golden Boy is relying on Ryan Goss. Okay. Mike Dazin says it's all the meat's fault, not Canelo. Yeah, you funny, man. Rich Phoenix says Eddie Hearn wants Canelo to fight Billy Joe Saunders and Golovkin next year. I guess Andrew will face Canelo in 2020 if he gives him a shot. Fuck that. Fuck that shit. That shit is fucked up. Billy Joe Saunders does not deserve a second chance at Canelo. Fuck Billy Joe Saunders. And Fat Boy gonna get beat the fuck up. And I hope Canelo beat him worse than he beat Callum Smith. Beat his ass up. Fat Boy. Fat Boy can't even maintain his weight. Fat Boy need to face Demetrius Andrade. I'm gonna call him Fat Boy from here on. I don't respect him. I know he got skills, but I don't respect him. I just ordered some Mexican steak, Guadalajara. Rich Phoenix says Spencer Crawford will fight in 2022 or late 2021. Probably late 2021. It could be the next fight, depending on if depending on if depending on if Spence don't get Pacquiao. I think it might be Crawford. It might be Crawford next. I would be happy if it's Crawford next. The Boxing Lodge, what's up, man? Because I truly believe these fights need to be made now. This is the time to make these fights, for real. They've been marinating way too fucking long. They've been marinating way too fucking long. I would love to see Spence versus Crawford. That would be a great, 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 great fight. I'm not even interested in seeing Spence versus Pacquiao, Crawford versus Pacquiao, as much as I want to see Spence versus Crawford. That's the fight. That's the fight now. It's the time is right. This is the time for the fight. I know if it's not in summer, I think summer's the best time for it to have that big fight. Especially when the COVID's over and we get crowds, because that's a fight for crowds. That's a fight to fill up stadiums. You know what I mean? That's a big fucking fight. Spence versus Crawford. So it can either happen at the end of the year when Crawford's contract is out, or it may happen at the beginning of the year. And possibly you guys might be right. It might happen at the end of the year because Bob Arum, the contracts that Crawford has with Bob Arum will be over. But in the meantime, who's Crawford facing? Is it going to be Sean Porter? I think it's Sean Porter next. So I think because Sean Porter's getting ready for that fight. So that means Crawford's facing Sean Porter next. I don't know if that's early this year. And then I don't know what happens in the summertime. He might be available for the summer fight with Errol Spence. But Errol Spence is taking time to relax, unwind, still train and everything. But, get ready for the summer fight. That's going to be a big fight. That's going to be a huge fight. I can't wait for that. That's going to be a great fight. That's going to be a fantastic fight. And people say it's like Hearns versus Leonard. I don't see it as Hearns versus Leonard. These guys are more seasoned. And I think that whereas Hearns had stamina problems and he had chin problems, and none of these guys have stamina problems and chin problems. So it's definitely going to be a hell of another. You know what it's more like? It's more like these guys are so much more skilled than Leonard and Hearns. Let me explain. Both of them are southpaws for starters. So let's start with that. Right? Second of all, we got a southpaw who's a switch hitter. That would be Terrence Crawford. Smart, right? Cerebral. Then we got Errol Spence, who could box and he could bang. But he's an inside fighter. He's more like Marvin Hagler. He gets his inspiration from Marvin Hagler, right? So we got it's more like a Marvin Hagler versus Leonard, but Marvin Hagler he's very athletic, very fast, very skilled, can box coming forwards, going backwards, got all that change of levels and all kind of tactical stuff that Marvin Hagler don't really have like that. So this fight's a whole other complexity of fight. You know what I mean? And of course, these guys are less in their primes than Leonard and Hearns were. Leonard Hearns were 23 years old. So these guys are a lot more experienced, have had a lot more championship experience facing world champions and former world champions. So it's totally different. It's a totally different ball game. And this should be a much bigger fight than Hearns versus Leonard. So I would love to see this fucking fight. It's going to be great when it happens, which I think is going to be summer. I think summer is going to be the best time for it to happen. So Bob Arum might get his cut. But if not, it's definitely going to be at the end of 2021. We're looking at November, maybe December. And oh boy, it's gonna be something. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be a big, big, big ass fight. So I can't wait for that. Um, and that's guaranteed to happen next year, I believe. As to Teofimo Lopez versus what the fight I think is going to happen next year that's big is going to be Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. I think that fight's going to happen. I don't know about nothing else at lightweight. Lightweight looks like it's open. I don't think Teofimo Lopez is going to face Devin Haney, though he would love to. I think Bob Arum's going to get in between that shit. Bob Arum fucks up fights, man. He fucks up big fights happening, and he's full of shit. Talk about, oh, I support big fights. Tyson Fury is supposed to face Deontay Wilder next year. I think that's going to happen. Deontay Wilder is not going to let Tyson Fury face anybody else but himself. So I do think that Deontay Wilder is either going to take a tune-up fight and then face Tyson Fury. I think Tyson Fury might face AJ in the summertime, but I think Wilder's going to face Tyson Fury pretty early, and they're going to fight. I have no problem with that, really. What y'all saying here? Yeah, I know. Richard Phoenix says Canelo wants Billy Joe Saunders WBO belt on his way to Caleb Plant. The problem with it is Caleb Plant, he struggled with Ustateki. He struggled with him. So I don't see how Caleb Plant going to survive Canelo. He's just, I mean, David Benavidez is totally different because David Benavidez don't have that special effects and stuff. But Canelo have special effects, so it's like I don't see him hanging with Canelo. Canelo got a lot of pop too. I don't see him hanging with Canelo, man. I think the guys that I think Caleb Plant should face, if he don't face David Benavidez, Jamal Charlo should come up from WBC middleweight and fight Caleb Plant at super middleweight. You know, and see a Caleb Plant deal against a very strong, skilled fighter like Jamal Charlo. And Jamal Charlo beat his ass. We're more likely to see Jamal Charlo versus Canelo Alvarez than Caleb Plant versus Canelo Alvarez. Richard Phoenix says, do you think Ryan Garcia beats Luke Campbell on January 2nd, 2021? He not only beats him, he stops him. He's going to be the first guy to stop Luke Campbell. He going to blitz that motherfucker. He going to get him out of there. He gonna finish him. I tell you, you guys don't understand. Ryan Garcia is the real deal. But y'all gonna see. Mike Dazon says Ryan Garcia will win because he's much hungrier. Not only that, he's just on a whole other level to Luke Campbell. He's a whole lot more skilled than Luke Campbell is. You know, Teofimo Lopez saying Luke Campbell have the abilities and skills to beat Ryan. No, he don't. What happens is, and you know, it's interesting here in Teofimo Lopez's father talk about Ryan Garcia like that because he knows Ryan Garcia from the amateurs. They know Ryan Garcia, so they're just shit talking at Ryan Garcia, and they talking about his chin up in the air and all that shit. They know Ryan Garcia from the amateurs. Devin Haney knows Ryan Garcia from the amateurs. Devin Haney knows Ryan Garcia is the real goods. He's the real deal. That's why Gervonta Tank Davis say, hey, yeah, man. Yeah. Ryan Garcia, he going to be something. He knows that Ryan Garcia is going to be a superstar. It's just a matter of time before he gets a world title. So, you know, Ryan Garcia is tall. He's long. He can fight on the inside. He can fight on the outside. He's got a lot of abilities. Very slick. A lot of people just don't know this shit. They just don't know what Ryan Garcia brings to the table. They just don't know. But it's a pro, so hopefully Ryan Garcia will display all the skills that he has. But he's got mad skills. And on top of that, now he's training with Canelo and the Reynosos. He's going to be a beast. And believe you me, Ryan Garcia's a big dude. Ryan Garcia could go all the way up to middleweight when all is said and done. Probably even super middleweight, like Canelo. So Ryan Garcia is a big dude. He's 5'11". He's taller than Luke Campbell. Ryan Garcia's chin is not tested though. Hey, his chin has been tested in sparring. His chin's been tested all over the place. He's been fighting bums, the same bums that Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney been facing. He been destroying the same bums. That's what y'all don't realize in shorter time. Y'all don't understand that. That's what you don't get. The same guys that Gervonta Davis was being fed when he was coming up is what Ryan Garcia has been fed, and he's doing a quicker job on him. Y'all just have to go in box rec and look at the guys that Gervonta Davis faced. Some of the guys that Gervonta Davis took 7 rounds to get rid of. Tough guys. Ryan Garcia got out of there in 1 or 2 rounds. That should tell you the level of fighter Ryan Garcia is. But y'all don't really check that shit out, so y'all will know. Ryan Garcia is destroyed the level of opposition they try to face him. They keep on bumping up the level. Golden Boy has been bumping up the level of opposition. So they realize, okay, enough with the cab drivers, enough with the journeyman. Let's give him a contender and see how he do, because he's more than qualifying for those levels. Rich, what did he say? I gotta say we'll win because it's much on. Rich Felix says, post Callum versus Canelo fight on IFL TV, Teofimo demanded $10 million USD from Eddie Hearn to face Devin Haney because Eddie mentioned that he was missing a belt and not undisputed at 135. Yeah, I know. I saw it. And Eddie Hearn said, done. And then Eddie Hearn said, well, I can't do deals with you. I got to do deals with your boss, Barbarian. I can't do it behind his back. And it was like, yeah. Eddie Hearn was willing to give $10 million to Teofimo Lopez, easy money like that, so that he would face Devin Haney, because he got confidence in Devin Haney. He knows what Devin Haney brings to the table. I'm not going to say nothing, but I'm going to say this as much. Even though Devin Haney hasn't faced the highest level of competition, he's kind of like Gervonta Davis. His best opponent has been, like Gervonta Davis, has been Yorkis Gamboa, right? So both he and Gervonta Davis, he shut out Yorkis Gamboa, whereas Gervonta stopped him, right? Both dominated Gamboa. My thing is this. Devin Haney showed us he's so much levels above some guy that was a former world champion. So Devin Haney is showing us how much better he is than the opposition he's being presented. Ryan Garcia is showing us how much better he is. And y'all going to see for yourself, because y'all don't believe me, but Ryan Garcia is going to knock out Luke Campbell. Y'all don't believe me, but I definitively saying that based on the skills that Ryan Garcia has, the teachings that he's getting from Reynoso, and the sparring work that he's getting with Canelo and with Frank Sanchez and so many other bigger guys, much bigger guys than him. I'm telling you, man, Ryan Garcia is going to destroy Luke Campbell. So you will understand that he's way above that level. The Luke Campbell that faced Lomachenko. As it stands right now, Ryan Garcia would beat the shit out of Lomachenko. He would beat the shit out of Lomachenko. It would not be like how Teofimo Lopez. He would beat the shit. Okay, Devin Haney would box the shit out of Luke Campbell, out of Lomachenko. Lomachenko would be food for those boys, because they're not on the level of anything that Lomachenko has faced. They savage. Okay? So I'm just telling you, because Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, they fought each other 6 times. Devin Haney won 3 times, and Ryan Garcia won 3 times. That's to tell you the caliber of fighter both guys are. So anybody telling you that Ryan Garcia, oh, he a joke, his chin is in the air, fuck them, because they don't know what the fuck they talking about. Ryan Garcia is the goods. All right? And it's sad that the real deals out here get dumped on, and the shit fighters like Triple G and the shit fighters like fucking that people bring, all the fighters are not, some of the fighters that are being overhyped, like Lomachenko, that everybody's praising and shit. Those fighters get the praise, but fighters like Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, actually Shakur Stevenson gets praise. But you know what's the irony? Shakur Stevens didn't stop his opponent, and he was no Yorkis Gamboa, right? Shakur didn't stop his. Devin Haney didn't stop Yorkis Gamboa, and they shit on Devin Haney, right? And it doesn't matter what Devin Haney said before. He said, I'm gonna beat his ass, whatever, right? Which he did anyway. for 12 rounds. But everybody's shitting on Devin Haney, and Shakur Stevenson keeps getting praise. Why? Because Shakur Stevenson associated with Top Rank and ESPN. Fuck out of here with that shit. Teofimo Lopez getting all the praise. Teofimo Lopez is the least skilled of all the fighters in the Four Kings. Ryan Garcia is a better fighter than Teofimo Lopez. And fuck what you heard. Devin Haney's a better fighter than Teofimo Lopez. And Gervonta Davis is a better fighter than Teofimo Lopez. Okay? I'm just going to say, I'm going to be honest with y'all now. Teofimo Lopez was the one that got the more coverage. If Devin Haney got to face Lomachenko, he'd have made him look like an ass, and he'd have beat the fuck out of him. Okay? That's just the truth. I'm going to be real now, because it's about time I told the truth. Okay? I heard through the grapevine that Devin Haney schooled Teofimo Lopez. He schooled his ass in sparring. Twice. That's what I heard. Okay? So, Devin Haney, the future is Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, and Gervonta Tank Davis. The weakest link in all of them, sadly, the most senior of them, is Gervonta Davis because he don't treat his body right. He blow up like a fucking balloon, fat boy style, and then after that, he had to lose all this weight with a fat camp. But the saddest thing is he's the senior of them. He could probably skill-wise be the best of them, but he don't treat his body right. He don't treat his body right. But now, hopefully, he's getting the discipline. You know? Why I say he's the weakest of them? Because he's the least disciplined of them when it comes to taking care of his body and keeping on weight. Even Rolly Romero, he made weight all the time, but that motherfucker blow up to 190 pounds. That motherfucker was on the scale 190 pounds. Yeah, he hits like a mule, no doubt about it, but he's not disciplined. You can't, and he loved to eat. That boy loved to eat. Rolly Romero loves to eat. He trained like a motherfucker, but he loved to eat. And say what you want about Rolly Romero, that boy can fight his ass off. Yes, okay. So if it was up to me, his last opponent, I would have had him win in the fight instead of Rolly Romero. But it was close enough that Rolly Romero could get the decision. Okay? Not a robbery. Having said that, nonetheless, let's make it abundantly clear. Rolly Romero still got a ways to go. And Devin Haney was beating that boy's ass in sparring. There's clips on YouTube with Devin Haney pushing Rolly Romero to the ropes and talking to the camera while beating Rolly Romero's ass. Y'all should see the shit that Devin Haney done to guys. Devin Haney's a beast, man. He's a beast. I see why nobody want to face him like that. But hopefully Ryan Garcia faces him, because Ryan Garcia's had some epic wars with Devin Haney. Rich Phoenix says, I prefer Haney's win over Gamboa to Gervonta's. I agree. Even Gervonta's gassed out in the middle rounds. He ran out of steam, you know, whereas Devin Haney, man, is just so fucking composed and just beating the shit out of Gamboa couldn't do shit to him. Gervonta needs discipline. Hopefully he has that now over time. I'm just hoping he stays on weight and keeps on training and shit like that. I think he gets it now. Mike Dizon says, and he runs a lot. Teofimo over Tank. No way Tank is better. I mean, skill-wise, Tank is a much better fighter than Teofimo Lopez. I just think the discipline-wise, he's not as disciplined. But let's see them fight, then we'll decide. I got my money on Teofimo. Great fight it will be. The best fighter will win. Tank got a lot of special effects, though. And he's southpaw. And he ain't no Lomachenko. Let me just let you know that. Rich Phoenix says Romero needs to up his game. For sure. Yeah, he was exposed some in that fight. Especially with his pull counter. His pull counter is funny. How he pull counters is hilarious. He needs to work on that mechanics. And he's slow with the pull counter too, so that's how he keeps on getting tagged. But Raleigh's got good defense though. He got good defense. He gets his hands back pretty good. Even against the guy wasn't really landing all those shots. The most he was landing was the jab. The jab was doing the job, and that's how he was dictating. But we didn't really land it with a whole bunch of shots, really. Yeah, but Raleigh need to work on that. And it was a taller guy, with a longer reach and stuff. But Raleigh need to work on that shit, on closing the distance. And I think the major problem with Raleigh is he closed the distance and he tried to get out. So he tried to come in and then leave. And you can't do that. You can't just come in and leave. You gotta go in, stay in the pocket, and grind on the inside. Work the inside of the guy and keep him from tying you up. So that's why inside fighting is so important. It is what it is. I'm gonna leave that alone. But yeah, man, Teofimo. I don't think that Teofimo is a skill wise. He's a better fighter than Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis got a lot to his game, just a lot. It's just fucking a lot to the game. And Floyd be, showing him different things to control the tempo of a fight and so on. But Teo has grown by leaps and bounds. His father, he's a work in progress, so his father's really been working with him, but he has to work on the back foot fighting off the back foot. He's not very good at doing that. He still has to work on that. Especially when a guy is hurrying up the tempo, he should be able to control it with his jab. And he don't do that. He don't control a fighter once he's off the back foot. In the front foot, he's good at doing it, but not on the back foot. So he has to work on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's basically what I got to say about all the stuff I said. Quite a lot today. I hope you guys have a good one. Smash the like button if you so wish. Romero's always talking about Lamborghinis and Ferraris instead of honing his skills. If he doesn't up his game, he will be beaten up and knocked out badly when he steps up. Yeah. It's absolutely true. But he hits like a freight train, but he has to learn. And he says he takes pride in his boxing, like he takes pride in his boxing. But he also talks about the knockout too much. He's like a Deontay Wilder. He thinks everything's about knockouts. And you can't get the knockout if you're always going for it, especially at the highest level where you can't just knock out guys. And then you have to resort to something else. So hopefully that lesson he learned in his last fight, which was a very close one for him. Otherwise, if he hasn't learned that lesson and he thinks it's just he got the victory, fuck that. Nobody, I know trainers like, Floyd Mayweather Sr. and stuff. You could get the victory and he'd still be giving you a tongue lashing because you wasn't doing the right stuff. He'd be like, fuck the victory. Don't care about that. You was fucking up in that. And just go to town on you because it's never good enough. You got to improve. And, Raleigh needs to know that was not a satisfactory job he did, that he needs to do better. It's another thing that these guys in the LionKiller podcast say. They say Floyd giving you tips and advice, then he's trying to destroy you, which is bullshit. It's bullshit because right now he's training fighters. So wait, he's going to train a fighter so they can get fucked up? Fuck out of here with that bullshit. Fuck out of here with that bullshit, man. He'll be training Richardson Hitchens and all these motherfuckers. No, he's trying to give back. But it's so, when you reach a certain level and you're so very successful, motherfuckers be jealous as fuck. And I notice a lot of these OGs, they be jealous as fuck about Floyd. They're jealous of them. I find it sad. Even Nate Campbell fall victim to that shit. And listening on the and Nate Campbell loves Floyd. I know he don't have no hate to Floyd or anything, but I mean, still at the same time, man, you the same kind of motherfucking fighter as Floyd, man. You actually believe that bullshit that Deontay Wilder be saying about Floyd? Come on, man. Like, for real? This man fired Mark Breland. He fired Mark Breland. Fucking out. Get the fuck out of here. What you gonna fire Mark Breland for? God damn it. Like, these are the things that just piss me off. And Clarissa Shields said it in code, but I think I know who Clarissa Shields was talking about. She said there was a boxer and she was suggesting certain things to him about how he could approach the fight so he could win the fight next time he faced his opponent. And the motherfucker said, I don't need your advice. Right? And she was like, all right, then go in there and lose there. Fill in the blanks who you think that fighter is. I'm not going to say who it is. That motherfucker likes to have yes men around him. You understand what I'm saying? He don't want to hear the truth. He don't want to hear honesty. Right? That's why Anthony Joshua heads up always be up on top of his game. Because he actually listens to folk. He humble enough to take advice from everybody and filter out what worked for him and what don't work for him. Floyd has always given good advice to fighters. That's one thing I know. Right? So I was it was talking about how Floyd was talking to the Smith brothers a while back, and he was talking about how he beat Canelo, using angles and shit, and he was real sincere about it, and he was talking to them. So somebody brought up that Floyd gave Callum Smith and his brothers some advice. And this guy in Killer Tamer, he's so narcissistic. He said, "Oh, Floyd, anytime Floyd give you advice, because he don't want you to be like him. He don't want you to be great like him." And I'm like, "What the fuck you talking about, Ninja?" He pushing Gervonta Davis, and he gives Gervonta Davis advice all the time. These motherfuckers don't understand it. These old school motherfuckers don't understand it because they used to tearing down people, I guess. But motherfucker, it's part of his fucking legacy if he's successful at coaching somebody and telling them something, because it expands his fucking repertoire. He told everybody, "I want to be the greatest trainer in the world." Don't know how that's going to happen, but he set his mind to that. So anybody with his fucking name attached to it, guess what? It brings up his cachet. Not only is he a great boxer, but he was a guy that gave boxers great advice. And not only did he give boxers great advice, but guess what? He was also a guy who was able to improve champions and train champions and bullshit. You know what the fuck that is? That takes your repertoire all the way up. That takes your cachet all the way up. Okay? Now, Floyd has some fighters that lost fights. They asked for fights and they lost fights in the Mayweather promotions thing. The most recent was that Mexican kid who faced Ruggaru. I forgot what his real name is. Reggie's program. Reggie's bro destroyed that boy. And then look at Floyd like, "What, Ninja? Fuck you." Back in the wrong guy. But he didn't understand. Reggie's program just fired up. Floyd knew that Reggie's program was gonna beat him. But Floyd was like, "You sure about Reggie's program?" And it was like, "Give me Reggie's program." It's like, all right, cool. Okay. It is what it is. When what's the guy's name? Ashley Theophane, who fought not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, and got beat. When Ashley Theophane asked for Adrian Broner, do you think Floyd told Adrian Broner, "I know you got this guy, all right? I know what it is." But did he go to Ashley Theophane and disrespect him? He was like, "More props to you. You sure you want Adrian Broner?" That's what he said. He said, "Do you sure you want this guy?" And Ashley Theophane was like, "I could beat him." He's like, "All right, I'm gonna give you what you want. I'm gonna try and back you as much as possible." Floyd don't pick sides in that case. The guy daring to be great, he daring to do his thing. I'm not gonna block him from doing that. I inherently know I don't see how he gonna beat him. But hey, you never know. He could prove me wrong. It's boxing, right? So you let the guy roll the die and do his thing. It's not that Floyd's a setup guy. It's like Devin Haney. He trained Devin Haney. He let Devin Haney get X, Y, and Z. Devin Haney worked with him. Devin Haney got his people who he worked with. He worked also with the kid that Mayweather Senior also trained, right? And this kid got a lot of experience with a lot of people, right? He's one of two brothers, right? But at the end of the day, they family. So him training Devin Haney and people trying to make a big deal out of that he's training Devin Haney. Why ain't he training Gervonta Davis? Floyd training all kind of people. Just recently he trained Richardson Hitchens, and he signed him to Mayweather Promotions. Would Floyd love to sign Canelo to Mayweather Promotions? Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. If he could sign Terrence Crawford to Mayweather Promotions, he'd do it in a heartbeat. But Canelo got his own promotional company called Canelo Promotions. Canelo run his own show. They say he's a free agent, but he's really his own boss. So at the end of the day, he just don't have a license to promote in the United States. Back in Mexico, he can promote. He does his little promotions in Mexico, right? He has fighters under him. So what people don't understand is that Canelo, all these guys, Floyd liked them. He likes them guys. He watched them. He liked them, right? The one person that I would say, even though he said some shit about, he said some shit once about Andre Ward and Virgil Hunter, and he did say some shit about Deontay Wilder as well once upon a time. you know. But at the end of the day, he's not the guy who is anti-boxer. He's not like the old school guys where he be fucking trying to fuck up a fighter. Even though he did say some things about Canelo also in terms of money and stuff. At the end of the day, he knows he's not going to be the best ever forever. His legacy needs to hold on to something else, which is his contributions to boxing as of now. And I'm not saying that all the OG fighters, all the OG fighters are not helping current fighters today. We know Lennox Lewis is doing with Deontay Wilder, and so many other guys are doing with different people. My thing is that, take for instance Marvin Hagler. A lot of people love Marvin Hagler, but Marvin Hagler is the first guy to shit on boxing today. So why the fuck should I care about Marvin Hagler? You see what I'm saying? He the first guy. He would say so much shit about boxing today, even though he was the guy that was commending for his own trophy, Mike McCallum versus James Toney. You know what I mean? And even though it ended in a draw, in which James Toney arguably should have won that fight because he closed it stronger, you gotta admit, Marvin Hagler, like sometimes he'd be like, I don't know what's his story, man. He bitter that Sugar Ray Leonard beat his ass. You know what I mean? Oh, I was robbed. Fuck out of here, Marvin Hagler. You wasn't robbed. You was a sour loser. That's what happened. You was a sour loser. And you set a bad example for other people. That's why we got the Donald Trumps of the world. All you had to say was he was the better man that night. Right? And get a rematch and beat his ass in the rematch. That's what you should have done. But you were so broken. You were so beaten. You said the system beat you? No. Sugar Ray Leonard beat you out of the boxing game. That's the real talk. You can believe that a welterweight beat your ass. All that pity pat. That wasn't real punches. Oh, bitch. Bitch, be real. Now, that's disrespectful because Marvin Hagler is a legend in the sport and I haven't thrown a single punch professionally. So I'm going to retract some of it. Marvin Hagler is a legend in the sport, period. Point blank, period. Okay? One of the greatest fighters of all time. My thing is this, though. That if you're such a great fighter, man, I know you might be salty about the sport because you had to get it the hard way, whereas Sugar Ray Leonard seemed to have gotten it the easy way, but he didn't because he was a gold medalist in the Olympics and he worked hard for what he got. Nobody gave him no handouts, but he was just somebody with the personality and stuff that people liked him. He had the right people around him, and he was jealous of that. But at the end of the day, you worked for what you did, and you became a great fighter. Now, what I want to know is what you giving back to boxing. So instead of cussing out the present fighters of today, Nate Campbell's giving back. He's training fighters, okay? Nate Campbell's giving back. So anything Nate Campbell say, we could laugh off some of it because we know it's funny. And in other parts of it, he's dead serious about what he's saying. And I like that. I like that about Nate Campbell. And so, all jokes aside, he's giving back. What is Marvin Hagler giving back to boxing? You see what I'm saying? That's all I'm asking. I don't know. Maybe he is giving back to boxing. But as far as I know, he's not even in boxing right now. Right? And my thing is this. Instead of criticizing the young fighters, instead of hating the young fighters, why don't you make a difference to help the young fighters? See what I'm saying? Now, I can't say nothing about Nate Campbell. Nate Campbell can say whatever the fuck you want to say because guess what? He's helping young fighters. He's molding, he's teaching, he's coaching. Right? So I can't say nothing. But for Marvin Hagler, come on, man. That was then. This is now. You have so many good things you can give to fighters firsthand and impart to them firsthand. Get back in the boxing game. Don't let Sugar Ray Leonard chase you away from the boxing game forever and put that bitter taste in your mouth. Because boxing needs fighters like these to help young fighters. Mike Tyson's a blessing to boxing. I can't say nothing bad about Mike Tyson. And his views on whoever in boxing, it doesn't matter to me. Because Mike Tyson is actually trying to help MMA fighters and boxers. And anybody want to listen to him, share gems to them. Because he's willing to pass on. One of the best things in the world is after you have had your career and everything. Aaron Pryor passed on things to Adrian Broner and a number of different fighters, including Sean Porter was affected by him. So I'm just saying, it's not just watching the guy on the screen, but seeing them in person. Muhammad Ali had a big impact on Mike Tyson's life because Mike Tyson saw in person. And Muhammad Ali would talk his experiences in his life, and just imagine being trained by the great Muhammad Ali. If Muhammad Ali could impart one little gem to you in your boxing technique or in your boxing, this is what the younger fighters and this is what the younger generation needs today. They need these guys and these trainers and these people not to complain and behave whiny and be like the old timers when they complain about music and how life used to be and all this bullshit. Stop complaining and make a fucking change. Make a fucking change. If you are OG, make a fucking change. Educate them. Share with them. Don't criticize them. Share with them. Build them up. And then you could pummel their ass just like what you did. You know, you old timers always making fun of the younger people. Y'all can sit down in the corner and have fun and laugh at them. And laugh at their ass. Like Nate Campbell's having fun laughing at Callum Smith right now. But you know, if Nate gets Callum Smith, he gonna share encouraging words to him. You know? But you know how it is with older folk, they be seeing things and they be like, yeah, okay, he won the match. They make fun of him. They make fun of him. But believe you me, believe you me, they genuinely would love to see Callum Smith do better. Okay? They would love to see him improve. And that's the difference. You see what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is, and you know, I really respect another OG who be teaching basics of boxing on here on YouTube. You know, no big set of nothing, but just basics. But the basics are so beautiful and so well put together. Just the basics of boxing for a casual fan never boxed a day in their life, to be able to understand and learn the sport of boxing and enjoy it, because it really truly is a beautiful sport. It's very violent, it's corrupt as fuck, but it is one of the most purest, most beautiful things, and I'm speaking from an artist's perspective, I've ever seen. You know, Romero needs to up his game, says Rich Phoenix. Rich Phoenix says Romero is always talking about Lamborghini. Okay, all right. Mike Dyson says, all right, bro, I'm out for now. Good boxing talk. Keep up the great boxing passion. Thanks. Yes, man. It's no problem. Rich Phoenix says, thanks, buddy. Enjoy your day. Rich Phoenix says, what's next for Callum Smith now after his defeat? I heard he's going up to 175, so that should be something. He's going to have to wait out his arm because his bicep is busted, it's blown. You saw how big and swollen that shit is on his left arm. So he blew out his bicep while he was boxing against Canelo. Crazy. So imagine you're fighting and then that happens with your lead hand. You know, I mean, you got to give Callum Smith, man. He got balls, and he's not just a tough fighter. He also got a mental grit. What I mean by that is he's fighting with a damaged hand, right? His bicep is blown. That's what happened to Andre Berto, and he's still using the fucking hand and still pumping that jab and still working those hooks and shit. I mean, come on, man. You gotta give the guy his props. Now you gotta preserve the hand. So like who was advising Teddy Atlas, them put that shit on ice immediately. Otherwise, you're gonna have more damage to your arm. You know, I think of Buddy McGirt, who blew out his arm as well. He blew out his bicep while he was fighting. I think it was Pernell Whitaker. So this motherfucker fought with a blown bicep. I mean, that's grit. He didn't get punished that much by Canelo, by the way. He didn't really take a lot of punishment. He blocked a lot of the punches. And credit to him. You know, he did a very good job, defensively speaking. Rich Phoenix says it's sad, but it's worth the risk. At least he's 8 to 10 million USD richer. Right. But, you know, your health is better than your wealth. So he's still going to put out quite a tidy sum of money just to repair that fucking bicep. Get it clipped back down. And then all he needs to go is to a proper chiropractor to get the range of motion back in order. Physiotherapist, chiropractor. So I could suggest to him to go to New Mexico and check out Dr. Bo Hightower, sorry. He's really good. He deals with athletes and MMA fighters and stuff, and he'll sort him out, make sure his shoulder's proper and his arm and everything. Yeah, Callum, man. Callum is Callum's he's a fantastic fighter. It's just that Canelo made him look super duper ordinary, and that happens sometimes. It happens sometimes. So I don't know about Callum's not going to be fighting for probably about a good 4 or 5 months. He's going to be out of commission. Um, he's a good fighter. He's a very solid fighter. Defensively and offensively, we saw that. But Canelo tricked him just like how Floyd tricked Canelo. You see that same move that Floyd did with touch that uppercut, touch that, go around it. You saw Canelo doing that. That was a Floyd move that he pulled on Canelo, and Canelo did it back to Callum. So Callum's learning little tricks, and if Callum adds that to his archive, he'll be able to use that same trick on somebody else later on in his career. Because that was a schooling, schooling / partial beatdown. He schooled him. That's what Floyd did Canelo. He just did to Callum Smith. So Callum Smith had learned a lot of things. Now, what you do with that experience, that's priceless. See, what these guys don't get is when you face great fighters like this, these are opportunities to register in your head perfectly what's going on. You have to be able to realize in your head and download that data and slowly work on it in the gym. Reflect on what happened to you. Understand what happened to you. Don't think that you understand everything that happened there, because you didn't. And you had a first hand, and now you will be able to dish that shit out when you're 32, 33 to somebody else. So Callum Smith, he just got a whole lot of information. Now, whether he can process that information or what actually happened in that ring. Yes, he wasn't at 100% because he blew his jabbing arm, but at the same time, shit happens. And so at the end of the day, now you have to figure out why you blew your arm. You blew your arm because you hyperextended it or something when you either hit him wrong and he blocked it, or when you missed the punch and hyperextended it and blew out the joint, blew out the muscle. Or maybe he hit you on your arm while you was about to extend it or something and blew the muscle out. Whatever it is, you have to now analyze the situation, understand what happened there, and then understand that what tools Canelo brings to the table and what tools you could use in your game. And for sure fact, he's going to learn how to break a fighter down, how to walk a fighter down, because he's going to have to study that. So he knows exactly how to push a fighter back who wants to come forward. He has to also learn how to be more efficient fighting going backwards. So yes, you need to mix it up. You can't just be a guy that's coming at a guy or trying to come at. That's your only game. I'm going to push him back. I'm going to push him back. No, if you can't push him back, then you have to start circling him and resetting to push him back or keep him in the center of the ring. Especially if you're a rangy fighter, which he is. So you can find your range, because he got his range. Callum took an uphill task in fighting Canelo, and there's no shame in losing to Canelo. He will be better prepared after this fight, and also remember he took this fight on 4 weeks' notice. All of that don't mean nothing, because listen, what matters right now is not the 4 weeks' notice, not all those excuses. It's what happened in the fight. So where he can now benefit from right now is what happened in the fight. All those other excuses about a 4 week notice, that his bicep blew out in the fight. Well, it blew out because he was facing Canelo, right? He was never going to be prepared. He could have had an 8-week camp. He was never going to be prepared for Canelo at all, because it just has to do with experience. So what he learned in that ring is priceless. And hopefully he and Joe Gallinger will understand that they just learned a lot of stuff. If they need to go to another, have another trainer break down what just happened to them, it's very important they understand what just happened to them. Because if they don't know what just happened to them, then they're none the better for it. And that whole experience has been wasted. So it's not just I was, I felt weaker and I was at a lower weight and maybe I need to move up in weight. It's not just that. It's not just that I only had 4 weeks to train. It's not just that my bicep blew out. Okay, it didn't just blow out by itself. There were reasons why that happened. The reason why Callum Smith couldn't throw the power he wanted to is because he was being cramped. He couldn't extend like he wanted to. This is the same thing Canelo did to Sergey Kovalev. Okay? So it's not that he don't have the power and he thinks by going up in a higher weight class that will make a difference. No, it's what Canelo was doing to prevent you from fully extending your power because you're an outboxer. Your major power comes at the end of your punch. You don't use short chopping shots. And not enough. Callum will be a better fighter now after this defeat. It depends. He may be better, he may be worse. It depends on how he takes the defeat. One. Two, that he goes back in the gym and he picks up some of the things that Canelo was doing and they practice it. Because obviously Canelo took to heart what Floyd did to him and he started practicing. And that's what made the difference. In fact, we saw him actually boxing like Floyd against Triple G the first time. He pulled a Mayweather on Triple G. That's why I'm shocked that people still say to this day that he lost to Triple G. But then again, people hate Floyd, so they didn't want to acknowledge that Canelo just was boxing like Floyd and outboxed Triple G. And then the whole HBO cast was against Canelo because Canelo just came across the HBO. Triple G was their guy. So it was going to be fucking biased coverage to start with. That fight went exactly like Adelaide Bird said. So hopefully Callum Smith will learn from this experience. I hope he does. And I hope that he gets to learn and train and grow as a fighter because he's still very young. He has his whole career ahead of him. He's the most successful Smith so far. He's become world champion and he's maintained his championship, defended his championship for a good period of time, longer than any of the Smith family. And I think he still has a lot of potential. And once he doesn't let this loss take him down the road to losing and just staying in a mindset of losing, he's going to be fine. He'll need one fight. He'll need a fight to boost back his confidence. And away he goes. I think he still beats a number of fighters out there. I think so. Yeah, so I just wanted to this video is almost 2 hours long. I just wanted to talk this. Now, what I'm gonna do, remember this channel is supposed to be for raising money and stuff and all of that. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and get a judge to come on a stream and discuss how fights are judged, because I think that's one of the primary things one of my subscribers wanted me to do, but I just didn't get around to doing it. And we really need to just keep boxing basic for now, because it's not about trying to be complicated or anything, and just do basic boxing as much as possible. It's cool talking to you guys boxing, but talk is cheap. Action is better. Doing boxing is better than talking boxing. So hopefully very soon we can actually do some boxing. What do you say? All right, people. I'm going to get you guys later on what you need. I'm out. Peace.